You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Monday, 30th day of June, 2025, last trading day of the month. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first live broadcast, that's our live training room. So to get in there, you have to be one of our traders or taking your 1-week free trial. If you have not yet taken your 1-week free trial, when Michael joins us at the top of the hour, he'll walk you through it step by step. We'll get your indicators up and indicating today. Your trial will officially begin tomorrow, Tuesday. But you get 5 consecutive trading days, so you're going to also get next Monday. How about that? I just turned a 5-day trial into a 7-day trial. And you might be thinking, well, what good are the indicators to me over the weekend? Well, some markets never sleep. So, now, when the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we take a 30-minute break and come back for this broadcast, the noon broadcast, which, unlike the morning broadcast, is open to the public. Everybody, everywhere, on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways you can join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only have to do it once. Go here to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down the page to where you see noon broadcast. Click that link, fill out that 30-second registration form, and you're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day, you'll get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. So at 12, now in the email there's a link, so at 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is just click the link in the email, and it'll automatically log you into our platform. The benefit there is you'll have access to the question box right away, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Of course, there'll be days when you're out of the office, away from your desktop. This time of year, maybe you're on vacation. Lucky you. But you still want to join live. And there'll be days when you're busy, can't join live, but want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005, celebrating our 20-year anniversary. But you don't have to remember all that, just youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there are over 2,800 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. Now, if you're new to our little corner of the world, it's a great way to get to know who we really are. In fact, thanks to the power of YouTube, you can see how we've evolved over the years. You can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. Now, obviously, you're not going to watch them all, nor do you need to. But it is a great resource to have at your fingertips, and it kind of lets you know we've been around for a few minutes anyway. youtube.com/CFRN. This is our schedule for each afternoon broadcast. Michael will be joining us at the top of the hour for a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room. Then we'll do some live trading on the TradingView platform. But we'll start where we always do, with our daily devotional. The topic we're on now, this is day 4 of 10. The Holy Hustle, Embracing a Work Hard, Rest Well life. Today's scripture is Isaiah 43, verses 16 through 21, and I'm going to share it with you from the Message translation. This is what God says, the God who builds a road right through the ocean, who carves a path through pounding waves, the God who summons horses and chariots and armies. They lie down and then can't get up. They're snuffed out like so many candles. Forget about what's happened. Don't keep going over old history. Be alert. Be present. I'm about to do something brand new. It's bursting out. Don't you see it? There it is. I'm making a road through the desert. Rivers in the Badlands. Wild animals will say, thank you. The coyotes and the buzzards, because I've provided water in the desert, rivers flow through the sun-baked earth. Drinking water for the people I chose, the people I made especially for myself, a people custom made to praise me. Again, that's Isaiah 43, verses 16 through 21. Now, last week we talked about the definition of the word hustle. In the old days, hustle had a bit of a negative connotation, but now you or somebody you know probably has what's called a side hustle. So there's now a positive connotation to the word hustle. Adopting a new attitude and outlook about hustle takes time. But when it comes to change and the new things God wants to do in our lives, we have two choices: retreat or pursue growth. I'm the first to admit that sometimes retreat sounds better until God shows me my motivation. When change feels scary, it's because I'm relying on my strength to make it through. I assume it's all up to me to make it work, to make sure it succeeds, to make sure I don't look like a failure again. When I choose to retreat, it's because I'm being reminded that on my own, in my striving, I won't be able to make it all work out the way I want it to. But then I stop striving and start pursuing. trusting that God is bringing a new thing because He has plans for me that are good, plans that will bring Him glory and expand His kingdom. Will you lean into the new path that He's leading you on? One where the holy hustle replaces striving? Or will you retreat, preferring the comfort of what is known to an uncomfortable season full of unknowns? Here are 3 assurances we can take confidently into the future. God is not done with us yet. He's ready to do a new thing, and He is there with us every step of the way. Holy hustle gives us the freedom to work hard with all our might on the tasks God assigns to our soul. This is the hard work, the work that makes a difference in God's kingdom. It gives us the freedom to recognize that the work others do is right for them, but not for us, not in this season. Holy hustle helps us to hear God over the roar of the bossy world, so we can say yes to the work God has prepared our hearts for, and no to the work that will drain our souls. The line between hustle and striving, rest and laziness, is a delicate place to live. When we lean too far one way, we find ourselves relying on our strength instead of abiding in God's reminders that He is our strength. This version of hustle is not about finding more time in our day to do more, but discovering what God is calling us to do so we can serve more, give more, encourage more in the right places and in the right ways. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, You are the God who makes a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. Help us to forget the former things and see the new work You're doing. Open our eyes to Your purpose and let our life declare Your praise in everything we do. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, Amen. Amen, and happy Monday. Let me give you the number. I hope you had a great weekend, by the way. Thought I saw you in church Sunday or Saturday. I'm there both days. Okay, we'll start with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Currently the Dow up 174 points. The Nasdaq up 61. S&P 500 up 17. And the Russell 2000 up 3.25 points. So no real movers or shakers in the bunch, but they're all green. And as futures traders, we don't care if the 4 major indices are all red or all green, because with futures you can be long, short, long again, all in the same hour. That's what the chart in front of you is telling you to do. But when they're all the same color, red or green, that's when you get better follow through on your trades. In the commodity basket, crude oil down 73 cents, trading 64.79 last. That's a drop of a little over 1%. Gold up $15.50, trading 33.0310 last. Silver down 15 cents, trading 35.88 last. You're going to wake up one day and silver's going to surprise us all. You know, we're flirting around 13-year highs right now. Our goal is to see 50 bucks for the third time in history. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei posted a gain of 336 points, almost 1%. The Shanghai gained 20, but the Hang Seng fell 211, which is almost 1%. In the European markets at the close, FTSE down 37, the DAX down 126, the CAC down 25. So that gave us a mixed day in Asia. It was a red day for the UK. But so far, it is a big green Radio Monday here in the US of A. Let's go to the global news. Senate Republicans voted 51-49 to open debate on President Donald Trump's tax and spending bill late Saturday night. Senator Chuck Schumer called for the 940-page bill to be read aloud in its entirety, a process that took roughly 16 hours before debate could begin. A vote on the bill is expected as early as today, following a vote-a-rama with potentially dozens of amendments up for consideration. Trump hopes to sign the bill by July 4th. Now, some of you are old enough to remember when Obamacare was introduced. Just kidding, you all are, pretty sure. Now, when people asked, well, what's in this healthcare package? Do you remember what Nancy Pelosi said? Just vote for it, and then you can read it. Now, you can fact check me on this. Those were her words. Vote for it, and then you can read it. What a mistake that was. So, Schumer calling for the 940-page bill to be read aloud in its entirety. That's the stuff Saturday Night Live is made of. Unbelievable. Two Republicans, Senators Rand Paul and Tom Tillis, defected in the procedural vote Saturday. Paul over concerns about the bill's impact on the country's debt limit, and Tillis over changes to Medicaid, placing more of the cost burden on states. And I'm going to just say, not true, okay? The changes to Medicaid is to get rid of people who are like drawing Medicaid from multiple states at the same time, or people who are here in this country illegally getting Medicaid. Okay, that's not what Medicaid was intended for, was it? And if you're an able-bodied person and you're receiving Medicaid, and there's nothing to prevent you, like, having to care for your children or something, you're going to be expected to do 20 hours of work or community service. And I think what this will do is, if people are forced to do 20 hours of community service, they're going to say, crap, I might as well just get a real job and get paid for it. Well, that's a heck of an idea. Glad I thought of it. A nonpartisan analysis estimates the Senate bill will cut more than $1 trillion from federal spending on Medicaid over 10 years, with 11.8 million fewer Americans projected to have health insurance. I don't believe it. Show me the receipts. Overall, the bill is estimated to add $3.3 trillion to the federal budget deficit over 10 years. But they don't discuss what's happening right now. Markets near all-time highs, inflation practically non-existent after under Biden we had the highest inflation in 40 years. Foreign companies are fighting over each other to invest in America, to build plants and factories here, which will create so many jobs. And don't forget about that golden visa or card or whatever they're calling it. If someone in another country has enough money, I think it's $5 million, to get one of these cards so they can become legally an American citizen. There's a waiting list right now of I think it's 10,000 people who've already signed on the dotted line and said, I want to buy one of those. So I really believe that all that is going to offset any additional spending that we have. It's going to more than offset it. It's going to make America great again. And if passed, the largest tax cut in the history of America. That's the engine that will begin the golden age. China hosted the world's first soccer match between teams of fully autonomous humanoid robots Saturday. I actually saw a little bit of that. The child-sized robots were powered by artificial intelligence and equipped with visual sensors. The robots were supplied by Booster Robotics, a company founded in June of 2023. The teams, composed of 3 players each, were distributed to 4 universities, each of which developed and installed its own algorithms for player formations and passing strategies, among other variables. Tsinghua University's THU Robotics ultimately won the championship title, defeating China's Agricultural University's Mountain Sea team 5-3. The match was a preview of Beijing's upcoming World Humanoid Robot Games in mid-August, featuring over 10 competitions, including gymnastics and track. China's robotics market is projected to reach $108 billion by 2028. By 2050, it's expected to have 302.3 million humanoid robots in use, outpacing the U.S.'s projected 77.7 million. Now, while it was cool to watch, it's also a little bit scary. More than 1/3 of residents on the island nation of Tuvalu have applied for Australian climate visas. The first of its kind program has been framed as an effort to assist populations most at risk from rising sea levels. People will fall. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. The initial program is limited in scope, with only 280 spots awarded per year, consisting of 9 small islands in the Polynesian South Pacific, with around 10,000 people. No point on Tuvalu is higher than 16 feet above sea level. A recent NASA assessment found waters had risen half a foot over more than 3 decades. That's 6 inches in 30 years. With most critical infrastructure projected to be below the average high tide by 2050. Observers say Tuvalu, which makes almost 10% of government revenue from licensing its .tv internet domain. Now, we all had a chance to bid on these new domains. You remember when there was only .com, .org, and .gov? Well, the commission that oversees the TLDs, the top-level domains, a few years back they auctioned off. You could get .tv, .radio, well, they didn't have pickleball then, but you could get anything. You just had to be the highest bidder. So Tuvalu could significantly benefit from the visas, with workers in Australia sending money to remaining family members. I was going to bid on .trading, and then I said, you know what? Everybody is so integrated into .com. If you tell them you got a website that's .net or .org, by the time they get to their computer, they're going to forget that, and they're just going to put in .com. It's so ingrained. Now, the younger generation, I think, is picking up on it pretty well. But people of a certain age, like many of us, we just type in .com. The Senate is making a final push to advance President Trump's signature legislation with a flurry of last-minute changes that stunned Elon Musk and the already besieged clean energy industry, while offering new support for fossil fuels. You know, that electricity that runs those EVs, you know where it comes from? You know where that electricity comes from? Yeah, burning fossil fuels. Unbelievable. The controversy surrounding the bill's energy approach is just one front in a frenzied final push. The price tag has received plenty of additional attention over a new weekend tally that found the bill has grown by nearly $1 trillion since the Senate took it up. Okay. Now, on a more positive note, U.S. stocks climbed today amid signs of progress in trade talks, setting up the major gauges for more all-time highs to end one of the most volatile first halves of a year in recent memory. We got a holiday Friday, July 4th. So stocks started a holiday-shortened week with fresh records in sight, as hopes rise that the U.S. and its top trading partners are closing in on deals over the sweeping tariffs introduced by President Trump. That's a guy you just don't want to bet against. President Trump said in an interview that aired Saturday with Maria Bartiromo, used to be called Sunday Morning Futures, I think. I don't know what she calls it now that it's on Saturday. Oh, it aired Sunday. I'm sorry. That is Saturday. Yeah, it aired Sunday. It's called Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo. She's a really smart lady. Trump said during the interview that he did not plan to extend the July 9th tariff deadline he set for countries to broker deals with the U.S. I don't think I'll need to, he told Maria. He added, however, I could, no big deal. During a White House press conference on Friday, Trump said the July 9 deadline to raise reciprocal tariffs was not set. Next, the United States will restart trade negotiations with Canada because Canada scrapped its digital services tax targeting U.S. technology firms. White House advisor Kevin Hassett said today, absolutely. He was on Fox News when asked about the talks restarting. President Trump asked the Canadians to take the tax off at the G7 meeting in Canada. He said it's something that they've studied Now they've agreed to, and for sure that means we can get back to the negotiations. Part of the deal, baby. Microsoft says AI can now outperform doctors in diagnosing complex medical cases. We already have 50 million health-related queries per day coming through Copilot and Bing, according to Microsoft's CEO. Our goal is to provide the most high quality, most accurate, and ultimately the cheapest health advice and support. You know, I found a course. You can become AI certified in 7 days. Now, I realized that after you have been with us a month and have shown that you understand the methodology and strategy, I could issue you a certificate that says you're trading certified. But Wall Street, where are they pouring all their money? Into AI. So if you have some little piece of paper, wherever it comes from, that says you're AI certified, most people are never going to look beyond that. You know, if you can show them that you can do whatever it is they need done, you custom build a bot specifically for their business or whatever it is they're doing, a lot of people are going to make a lot of money. And the cost of this course, it almost, but I looked into it, it's not. It almost seems like a scam at $50. But guess who's offering the course? Sam Altman. OpenAI. They are widely seen as one of the most successful tie-ups in recent memory, along with Microsoft. Microsoft has invested close to $14 billion in the Chat GPT maker, gaining access to its models. OpenAI has leveraged Microsoft's computing power to feed its ever more powerful models. I'll be sure to post my certificate when I get it. I haven't even ordered the course yet, but it's all online. And last from Wall Street, Strategy, which trades under the symbol MSTR, and as we've called it on the show here now for over a year, Mr. MSTR, which was formerly known as MicroStrategy, has acquired an additional 4,980 BTC for approximately $531.9 million, according to an SEC filing. The Bitcoin purchases came in at an average price of $106,801 per Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin Treasury Company's total Bitcoin holdings now stand at 597,325 Bitcoin, currently valued at over $64 billion. That's B as in billion. You can fight the flow or go with the flow, you know. So, now, we first started talking about BTC on this daily broadcast at 12 cents. Was I wise enough to buy some at 12 cents? Of course not. I'm still doing this broadcast. All right, that wraps it up for the global and the Wall Street news. So let's go look at the local news. Logic 247. That's our 24/7 around the clock E-mini alert service. Not just E-minis, but also crude, gold, and silver. Last week, I only issued a total of 22 alerts. I think we had something like 12% get stopped out. But over the last 361 weeks, we have issued 20,000 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out, based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Now, last week I was dragging my feet Wednesday and Thursday and Friday because I knew I only had 2 more alerts to hit that 20,000 round number. So I waited till last night. I issued 2 alerts last night. That gave us 2 actionable alerts. And as you can see, 100% profitable, full target. 0% stopped out. So you might ask, well, what happens now? That's a great question. That is a truly great question. 361 weeks is a long time, but long before we had a Logic 247, we had our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts. They're different. You see, the Logic alerts, they could come out anytime around the clock, 2 a.m., 2 p.m. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session and vice versa. And every one of those 20,000 Logic 247 alerts had an entry price, an initial target designed to help you get your goal for the day, and then typically additional targets and always a final trade to target. The real purpose behind the Logic alerts was to teach you how to read a chart. See, whatever career path you pursue, you got to be able to read the textbooks, the journals, whatever goes along with that particular kind of job. If you're going to be a groundskeeper, well, you got to be able to read the instructions on how to operate that new weed eater the boss just got you, right? Well, when you decide to become a trader, a technical trader, suddenly you're staring at a chart. And to some, it looks just like a lot of chaos. I assure you it's not. But the other thing you'll notice is there's no words, no sentences, no paragraphs, no punctuation. So, in order to become a trader, you got to learn how to read the chart. And that was the real reason behind the Logic 247 alerts. Now, the concierge trade alerts, that was our original alert service, stretching way back before we rolled out Logic 247. They're different. Number one, they don't come out around the clock. Typically, they're posted 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open each evening. We all know today's the Monday session, but the Monday session began last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. And last night, because it was a Sunday and I didn't have anything else to do, I actually got them out 10 minutes before the markets opened. So what this means is that all of our traders and all of our trial members had all of these targets 10 minutes before the market opened. S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. As we go through the individual markets and you see these targets on the charts, just remember all of our traders, all of our trial members had the targets 10 minutes before the market opened. So now we can go to my favorite part of the broadcast, and that would be the charts. Okay, the session that started last night, 62.55, and it looks like it wants to keep climbing. We're off the high of the session, but we're also off the low of the session. So how we close today is going to be pretty important. Now, we've already touched the all-time historic high on the S&P 500 cash market, the index, but on the futures, not quite, not yet. But I don't doubt that we will. Futures, the all-time historic high was put in last December 6th, and we're very close. The green line is called the BBC. It stands for Bull Bear Cross. When price crosses below the green line, we're bearish and expect lower prices. When price crosses above the green line, as it did on April 24th, we're bullish and expect higher prices. Price always reverts to the mean. I don't care what strategy, what methodology, price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green. We call it the BBC. Now, price rarely travels in a straight line. So we got a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement. And what'd you notice about that? The pullback to the BBC held every single time till April 24th when we closed above it. So the first pullback held, the second pullback held, the third pullback, the fourth pullback, they all held. And the market still looks pretty bullish. They were closing in on the high of the session. Now this is a daily chart, and I know you all trade on, I'm pretty sure, most of you, smaller time frames. But I challenge you to spend 2 minutes with the daily chart of whatever you're about to trade on the smaller time frames. You see, the institutional traders, the ones that actually move price, they look at daily, weekly, and monthly charts the way you and I look at 30-minute charts, 5-minute charts, tick charts, and range charts. Why? Has everything to do with account size. So, by spending 2 minutes with the daily chart of what you're about to trade, you can get a free look over the shoulder of the deep pockets that move price. Do you want to go with the flow, or do you want to fight the flow? It's your choice. Also, you're able to identify major areas of support and resistance far in advance. Okay? Now we know that the next major resistance is right here, where blue turned to red, blue and climbing, turned to red and falling, right at the top of that candle. Are we there already? Yeah, we're basically right at it. So then the next will be 62.77 half. And today's high is 55. 62.77 half. Next major resistance. So you see, you write that kind of thing down. So as you're trading on your smaller time frames, you don't get what's called tunnel vision. You got to remember what's happening in the big picture. If you do it 2 minutes a day for a month, I don't think you'll ever go back. It kind of changes everything. Okay, the vertical lines here separate today Monday, back here's Friday, back here's Thursday. And I could go back and show you Wednesday and Tuesday and Monday of last week. It's all there. Okay. Now all alerts, the Logic 247 alerts, the Concierge Trade alerts are created on the 30-minute chart. Not because there's anything magic about 30 minutes, it's just the time frame I chose years ago. They say if it's not broke, leave it alone, and that's what I've done. Now, this was the opening candle last night. We had a slightly higher gap open. And in the first 30-minute candle, we ran right up to the long target. And remember, all of our members and trial members had these targets 10 minutes before the market opened. So 62.29, that was the long target. And 6,200, the short target. Now, these are the weekly trading zones. Okay. Now, last week we hit on Friday. Let me double check this just to be sure. Turn to my journal. Okay, 6230 was the highest weekly trading zone last week. We've published the zones now for 15 and a half years. They come out Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. So on Friday, we filled this window I had drawn in. We filled it once, we filled it twice, we filled it 3 times. Then we popped above the highest weekly trading zone. But I remember saying on this broadcast Friday that by the close of business today, we expect to be at or below the highest weekly zone. And here's where we closed. Well below the highest weekly zone, even though we had danced above it on Friday. Also on Friday, I drew in this short window of opportunity. We filled it once, and then we filled it a second time. Now, that window may not look like a lot, but 62.13 down to 62.08, that's 5 points. You only need 2 points to get your goal for the day. Now, I also drew in Friday this long window, which filled last night, quite rightly. I drew in this long window today, which has not been filled. I also drew in this short window this morning, and I posted a copy of all of these the second I drew them in the discussion group and the trial discussion group. Now on the short side, the top of the window was 62.34 and the bottom of the window was 62.30. So we didn't get the full 4 points, but we got better than 2 points, which is what you need to get your goal for the day. And then it gave up another 2 points. Now we're up against the BBC. So this was the opening candle last night, leg retracement. When blue and climbing gets directly above price, it begins to act as resistance, because it's usually on its way to becoming red and falling when that happens. And you can see that red and falling walked price right back down below the BBC. The pullback holds more often than not, but eventually price is gonna trade through. Now we're up against we found resistance, support, and when the market finds support, it's going to go look for resistance. Now this candle has 11 minutes left in its lifespan. Top of that candle is right at the bearish cross, okay? So do we have potential resistance there? Yeah, we do. If price continues to climb, and if we close above the BBC, then you've got potential resistance right there at 62.50. Then again at 62.53, you got sort of a triple top going on here. So we'll see what happens. Buyers are getting institutional buyers are getting a little bit cautious, I think. Doesn't mean we're not going higher, but it's going to be cautiously higher. All right, the long target last night, which was issued 10 minutes before the open, was 44,290. The short target was 43,965. Okay. Now on Friday, we drew in this short window, which missed filling by a couple ticks, but it was a red candle all the way down. So plenty of room to get your goal for the day. But the long window we drew in, it filled last night on the opening candle. And the opening candle took us above the long target. We consolidated sideways, much like the ES. This window was drawn this morning. This window was drawn this morning. You can see them all with a timestamp in the Telegram discussion group and the trial discussion group. So we consolidated along the BBC for quite a bit. And then we broke down. We didn't quite hit the short window. What we hit was this was the open last night, right here. Okay, the open 44,201. The low of this candle 44,197. 4 ticks difference. So we're up against the BBC. Is the pullback going to hold or not? It already held once. If we power through, then you've got potential resistance right there, 44,370, and then 44,380, then 44,000, and then 44,440, and 44,435. Yeah, this one's 30, this one's 35. Okay, and if we get through all that potential resistance, there's a long window. And if the pullback holds, once price takes out this low, okay, not by a tick, not by a point, okay, top of this window, it's like 44,175 down to 44,135, 40 points. Takes 20 points to get your goal for the day. But again, on Friday, short window. Last night, long window. From the work we did Friday, okay? Learning to read the chart is one of the most important things you can do if you plan to be a trader. So we drew in this is the Russell. Here's where we opened last night, and it was the second 30-minute candle that actually hit the zone. The Russell opened at 21.89 half, and the high was 21.97.20. That's about 8 points. You need 2 points to get your goal for the day. So as the market found resistance here, it sent us back to the BBC. The pullback held. We bounced a little higher. Okay. And we came back to the BBC, consolidated some more. But red and falling took us all the way down to the top of the window. We've now bounced back to red and falling, which is potential resistance. Right above it's the BBC, which is potential resistance. Now, once a window of opportunity is defined, determined, it remains valid until triggered. Whether it's a day, a week, a month, a year, it doesn't matter. It remains a valid window of opportunity until price trades through it, or attempts to trade through it. So we hit the long target multiple times, and we're still a ways from the short target. NQ. On Friday, live on this afternoon broadcast, we drew in this window, this long window, and it filled, and it filled, and it filled, and it filled. Actually, I think I drew this one in the live training room on Friday. Michael was having some internet problems. And I drew in this short window during the live training one. So we filled the long window once, twice, 3 times. Now the NQ, you only need 5 points to get your goal for the day. So we're talking 797 up to 813, 16 points, $20 a point, $320 per contract traded. Then we came down and filled the short window, 730, down to 708. That's 24 points, $20 a point, $480 per contract traded. So this was the opening candle last night, and in that first 30 minutes, we opened at 22, we'll call it 752, and ran up to 788 and more, filling that window from Friday again. So 30 points at $20 a point, that's $600 per contract traded. Now these are last week's zones, and the reason I'm showing you last week's zones is because the new zones don't come out till Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. So any alerts I put out on a Sunday night have to be based on last week's zones. On tomorrow's broadcast, you'll see this week's zones on my chart, because anything I put out today or the rest of the week will be based on the new zones that our traders and trial members got this morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. And again, once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. Now, when price encounters a weekly trading zone, only one of three things happens. 70% of the time, consolidation. 20% of the time, rejection. 10% of the time, the slice. So we're just, now you see those wicks sticking up above the BBC? There's 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes left in the life of this candle. I don't think we're going to close above it on this candle. In fact, I think we're headed lower. The issue is you've got potential support right there, and right there. If the markets are going to drop today, I would wait for this guy down here, which is pretty much identical to the one we drew on Friday that filled twice during the Friday afternoon session. Michael has arrived, so we'll pick up with crude oil when I come back. But right now, Michael's going to give us a recap of what happened in the live training room this morning, then do a little live trading on the TradingView platform. Then I'll come back and I will complete the recap of the alerts and wrap things up with our good word for the day.
So yours is working again too?
You know, I haven't even tried it yet.
Oh, okay. Okay, mine is. It took them 20 minutes, but they got it going.
I've been doing this crazy thing called a live broadcast, so I haven't had a chance.
Ah, that's right. That's right. You started that right up.
Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. You look good.
All right. Good.
Your charts look good too.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. I try to keep my charts in shape, you know. All right. So here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Monday, the 30th and final day of June 2025. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button right here. When you click on that, it is going to bring you to the registration page. There is no credit card required for the trial. All right, it's going to bring you to the registration page right here. Just fill out this form. When you fill it out, all I ask for is your first name, your last name, your email, your phone number. Down at the bottom, we ask you for your TradingView login ID, your username. If you don't have one of those, click on this link right here. It's going to bring you to this page. Watch this video. It's 3 minutes long. Click on this link. When you get to there, the essential is all you need. All right, it's going to be a 30-day trial with the essential. So if you click on that, fill it all out, and then you'll have all that you need to get going. You do need to get live data too. That is $7 a month. You're gonna have to do that too. But anyway, let's get to the spreadsheet. So we only had a half a morning this morning because we had an issue between CQG and Sierra. So we could not connect after the first hour, but that was plenty of time for us to get in there and get our goal for the day and do everything we needed to do. So if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you have to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 30th day of June, 2025. We're up 50 ticks on the NQ, 22 on the Russell, 10 on gold, and 5 on the ES. Put it at 522.5 in the morning. And today it took 4 minutes and one trade to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $2,800 with 10 contracts on. And we took a total of 14 trades. So on the month now, we're up $14,995 over 18 business days, averaging $833 per contract per 2-hour business day. On the year now, we're up $155,465. That's over 109 business days, averaging $1,426 per contract per 2-hour business day. Now, following the 2420 blueprint, we are on the final day of 6 contracts. With the 2420 blueprint, what you do is for every $2,000 earned, you would add another contract. Now, if your goal for the day is $100, then you trade until you get your goal for the day and you stop trading. And when you get to $2,000, you add another contract. Now, there's roughly 20 business days in every month, so it should work out. It should work out that you have 1 new contract per month. Now, this month, we took a couple days off. I think we took a Friday and a Monday off, and then we had, I think we had a couple of holidays in there, so we only have 18 business days in this month. And still, we were able to get the minimum every single day to get the goal, and then some. You know, any one of these that is over $1,000 right here, we got more than the goal. When we closed out whatever trade it was that we were in, we ended up with more than the goal. So following the 2420 blueprint, right now you would be up on the year $62,307. You'd be finishing up the month of June with 6 contracts, going to 7 contracts tomorrow in the month of July. All right. So you would be averaging $4,609 per hour following the 2420 blueprint. You'd only worked 13.28 hours so far on the year. Okay. All that stuff is just following the plan, doing everything that the plan says to do. All right, and that's it. So let's get into the trades from today. Now, we only have the first hour really of trades. I did highlight some of the trades that triggered afterward, but they may have other things that went wrong, so I didn't want to deal with that too. On gold, this is gold we're looking at right now. Gold, our first trade was a stop out -15. The next trade we picked up 10, that got us to -5, and the trade after that we picked up 15, and that got us to +10. We had one more break-even trade before we lost it. Once we lost it, this is the rest of the day. Yeah, I guess there were some more opportunities in there during the rest of the session. For anybody that's watching now that was not in there in the morning session, oops, I don't know what I just did. All right, okay. For anybody that's watching now that was not in there during the morning session, you have to send. If you're using Sierra and you lost your connection, the connection between Sierra charts and CQG, you get to this sheet right here, or this page right here, or this screen, that's what I'm looking for. By going with your Sierra charts, you want to go on this thing right here. Hang on. Yeah. Hold it. Let me find this. Things all buried over here. All right. On this thing right here, you go to File, Data Trade Service Settings. All right. When you go to File, Data Trade Service Settings, this window will pop up. You can take a screenshot of this window, or you can just send them your username. But either way, what you want to send to F, that's like Frank, G like Gamma, F like Frank, support at stonex.com. Send them this. All right. In the subject line, just say, please reconnect my CQG web API to Sierra charts, and then send them that picture. If you can't take a picture for whatever reason, if you can't take this screenshot for whatever reason, then just send them, just type out what your user ID is, okay? It took 20 minutes for it to work for me, right? Demo and live came back when they set it up, so that's all you need to do, right? Does anybody have any questions about that? Any of you guys, did all you guys do that and get it going? Okay, because if anybody's got any questions, now's a good time to ask. All right then. So during the break, trades that triggered. You blow the YBI here, so you'd only be looking for things going into and coming out of the overbought, right? And it would have to be when it's hitting the midpoint, right? So you really didn't get anything through there. You didn't get anything through there. Nothing in here. Closest thing would have been this right here. On the gold would have been right there. You're above the YBR, so you got way down below it here, so it's going to be resetting. It's going to look all messed up. Right here where it came out when you were right there at it, where it pulled back down to it, you could have taken a trade right here. That would have been a decent trade. It flipped around here. You didn't really get anything on this that you could do. Nope, nothing through there. This up close right here, you could have done that, would have stopped you out. This up close would have been good. This up close would have been okay. This up close would have been good. And that's it. That brings us current. So we don't have anything there right now. As a matter of fact, we don't have anything anywhere right now. We're above the YBR and everything, but we're going to flip here on the ES. It's going to flip to below the YBR. It just hit it right there. Okay. And on the Russell. Now the gold is on the Q contract and it's got a spread on it. It looks like it's got enough volume. On the Q, on the Russell now. Let's go to that. We only had a couple of trades on the Russell. 4 trades on the Russell. Okay, these 4. The first one was a +10. The second one was a +10. The third one was a +2. And the fourth one was a break even. And that is all that we had on the Russell. Things got really sideways in here. I like to think maybe it's because we couldn't trade in there that, yeah, things just went sideways. Nobody was placing any trades. But I know that's not true. During that period, there was a trade right here that would have worked out just fine. A trade right here that would work out okay. Probably would have gotten a break even out of that, or maybe +5 or 10. Now you get above the YBR right here. You could have taken this long right there, which would have been okay. You get back down below the YBR. Nothing. Even in here, you wouldn't have done that after a retrace that much. Back above the YBR. Nothing there. And back below the YBR over here, you would have, that would have been a trade right there, off the midpoint right there. And that's it. Okay, and that was it. On the Russell, we ended up with +22. All right, on the ES now. On the ES, on the first one, we had +1. On the second one, we had +4. That would put us at +5. And then we had a break even right there. And let's see, there was a whole bunch of junk in here on the ES. Now we flipped down to a 4 range for a little while this morning just to look at it. All these pink ones here are trades that triggered when we couldn't do it while the morning was happening. And then I stepped away because we had a whole bunch of things going on here. During the break, it looks like this right here would have been the only trade during the break right there. Get back below it, no trades. Get back above it. Right here would have been a trade too. And it's just about giving you a trade right here. If this wick went up and hit the midpoint, you could take the down close right here on the ES. Could take it anyway, but if you did take it on a down close without hitting the midpoint, I would let it pull back a little bit and catch it on the pullback so your stop is above the midpoint. Okay, that's what I would consider doing if you were going to do it anyway without it hitting the midpoint. I think it might go up that one tick that it needs to hit the midpoint and then close down. So we'll just wait and see on that one. All right, and that was the S. There it is. It just did it. So that is going to be a valid trade on the down close. And I believe I can put my orders back on now. So 41.75 down to 39.75, I think. 41.75 down to 39.75. There it is. And the right number, all that stuff, all looks good. Okay. That is what you want. The bar is going to close right here on a down close at 62.40. It's going to come out of the overbought, close right there, and that's what you want right there. That's exactly the order you want. So let me just hit this right now and say, okay, the way this is set up right now, it pulled back up, it hit the midpoint, and so we're selling 8 ticks below the top of the bar, right here, 39.45. The top of the bar you can see is right here. If I do this, you can see, oops, slide this over a little. You can see the top of the bar right there. The high on that bar is 41.75. You can see it right here, and you can see it up here, 41.75. It's a 7-tick range, so I want to sell the 8th tick. The 8th tick is going to be right here. The 7th tick will be right here at 62.40, and the 8th tick is right here at 39.75. That's what we're looking for. So we get a down close. It'll close right here, and it should trigger us in right there. It should come out of the overbought. All that should happen all at once. Okay. So I'll record this little bit of it right here, and we'll see. Hopefully it's going to give us a down close and give us what we're looking for. It should go down to here. The minimum should go down to 37.75. Right. At a minimum, it should go down to 37.75. So let me slide this over and slide this over. We'll get into the NQ stuff now too. We'll keep an eye on the ES, and we'll get into the NQ stuff that we did today. All right, I have an extra thick YBR on the NQ, but here's all the trades on the NQ. Right, our first one is where we got the goal for the day. We picked up 56 ticks on the first trade on the NQ. Then the next one, we picked up something and went to 74 from 56. I think it was 18 ticks. Then the one after that, we got something more that got us up to 110. And then we stopped out on this one over here. That went so close to getting our stop to break even, but didn't quite make it. And we stopped out on that one. And that's where we lost our data. All right. Well, we lost our connection to CQG. We did take a trade here. Now, I don't know why. Oh, I'm sorry. I just highlighted that. I don't know why I highlighted it. I don't know what I was looking at. That very first trade that we took in here this morning, it was actually on a 19 range. I had left it on a 19 range on Friday. And either way, the 19 or the 47, they were both valid trades. But I was working off the 19 range this morning when I took that. And we just triggered in on the ES. It just closed down, so perfectly triggered in there on the ES. All right, so let's just focus on that right now. And we'll see what we anticipate. Oops, sorry, I blew up the NQ. What we anticipate here on this ES is that it's going to go down at a minimum, get down here to the prior swing low. Now, what it should do, and this is the whole reason we use the midpoint like this in the shaded area. Price is always doing the same thing, right? It's always going up and down and up and down, and then it goes up and then it goes down and then it comes back up. And then it should make another leg length like that big, going back down. That's where we're at right now. All right. It kind of did a whip right here. It went all the way up and then went all the way back down, and then it went up right here. And so this is where we're entering at this point right here in the process. When this gets down one more tick, we're going to bump the stop to break even. Okay, it's going to go one more tick. We'll bump that stop to break even. And it starts out on a 7-tick range. The stop always starts out at 10 ticks. Okay, on a 7-tick range, it always starts out at 10 ticks. So it did make it down to 38.75. I should have my stop at break even already because it already made it down there one time. So just bump it right now. The stop is at break even. You see the low of this bar is, oh, it's actually 39. Okay, so maybe I shouldn't have bumped it yet. Well, it's going to go right now. There it is, 38.75. So bump the stop to break even after 4 ticks in profit. Now, once it goes beyond 38.75, I'll start locking in a little bit. Okay, but for right now, I'm going to give it a little bit of room to breathe right here. And it should go down here to the prior swing low. At a minimum, it should go down to the prior swing low. All right, the maximum, what I would expect out of this would be this much. That much, right? It just took us out. But the maximum of what I would expect out of that would be that much. Now, let me just explain that. Okay, it took us out of break even. This is how big that leg length was. All right, so that would be what I'd expect out of it. Right, from there down to there, because of the way it chopped up right here, that's what I would expect. It goes down, it pulls up, it does it again, and then it pulls up again. And the second pullback should be no bigger than this one right here. All right, this pullback should be no bigger. Well, the next pullback should be no bigger than that pullback. All right, and that's all there is. All right, so we ended up with a break even on that trade. Let's go see if we have anything else going on. Do you guys all understand that, right? That's why we have the whole midpoint thing put together, so that when it does this pullback, you know, when it goes up, or when it goes down, in this case, it goes down, you're looking for it to do a 50% retracement, right? It pulls back up right there. It hits that midpoint. That's what this is right there. And that's a great spot for it to bounce down off of. And when it bounces down from the midpoint, the minimum you should get would be this much right here. All right, that's the minimum. And then the maximum you would expect would be the full leg length. Repeat that leg length and then do it all over again. That's the way the markets typically work. All right, we haven't gotten to the minimum yet. We're just there right now, just getting to the minimum part of it right now. But that's what you would expect. All right. Now, I don't know if you all got taken out of break even like I did. If you didn't, you should be locking in a little bit of profit right now. Okay. Okay. Let's get rid of this for right now. We'll go to the end of this. Click on this, go to the end. We kind of had a trade right there at the same time on the NQ. All right, so we've gone a little bit further on this. Now this is what a full leg length goes down to here on this, right? It goes right down to there. Gold, now we're above the YBR on the gold, so we're not looking for a short, but the short is setting up, but the gold is setting up the same kind of trade that this had. All right, now we got below the YBR on this one, so we could take the short. We're above the YBR on the gold. So following the rules, you can't take the short, but I expect that it's going to get up to here and push down off of that. So you'll be able to get it on the next leg, probably. Okay. All right, and that is all of that. Do we send message to okay. All right, so the NQ is working its way down past there. We did get down to that point, and now we'll see if it makes it further. The leg length really matters right here, because if this leg length, and this is all just going to price action, all right, stuff you guys should all know. If this leg length right here stops here, and the next one up is bigger, then what that is you got this leg up, then you got this leg down, then you got a decent pullback to the midpoint, then you got this leg down, which is just enough to get through there, but it's smaller than that. And if this pullback ends up getting up to here or above there, then that's potential trend change. All right, that's the bugle. That's a potential trend change point right there. So this pullback, what it does right here is pretty important. If it stops and it continues down, that's great. If it doesn't stop and it moves up above this level right here, then you have a potential trend change, or you're just leading into some chop, one or the other, or both. All right, do you all see that? That should be pretty easy for you to see. All right, so it is going down some more here on the S. That's good. It's good for all the markets if they don't go to chop like this. It's kind of what you want to see. All right, so over here on the gold, now we went up a little further than I thought we were going to, but if we get a down close right here, I know we're above the YBR, but if we get a down close right here, I would expect it's going to make another leg down like this. Okay. Let's go out here. Yep. It says it's still listed on the NASDAQ right here, but that it still would be, right? It's not changing exchanges. It's just going into. Okay. Yeah. This is a 30-minute, so it started. It's a 30-minute. Yeah, I can check the daily. It's run up today. Yeah, it has. Where is it? No, here it is. Yeah, there you go. There it is. Yeah, so Friday it actually closed down. Today it's run up pretty good. Yep. And yep, right here. It actually just closed it. Yep. Well, it closed that one. It's got another one up here. It actually just closed both of those. Okay, both of those gaps got closed. It doesn't mean that they're all closed, but both of those got closed. It was one right here that just closed pretty much to the tick right now. And this one right here got closed too. So that's the month of May, those gaps. And there was a gap right here. Huh. I haven't looked at XRP today. Usually when the news comes, it's buy the rumor, sell the news. But this right here had this gap. That was from Thursday to Friday. It had this gap up right here. That's kind of weird. They're both red candles, but they that's right. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm on daily. This is the 23rd of June. 23rd of June to the 24th of July. So that was in the middle of last week. So it still had a gap in there, but why are they red candles? They have blue surrounding them, so they were both up closes, but I don't know. Go back in my world. What is XRP doing? I wonder. It's power. XRP futures. This futures are 227. That's not what we're looking for, but I didn't know they had futures associated with them. Here's Coinbase. Yeah, Coinbase is saying right around the same place, 224. It's all good. All right. So on the daily, yes, we're down, right? On the daily. Oh no, here's the yes right now. We're up on the daily. Oops, hang on. There. In here. So that green one right there is our all-time highs. So we are up on the daily, and this green right here is the all-time highs that we're headed toward. It says the ES right now is up 1325.2%. It's good stuff though. It's good stuff. Oops. Got that thing going there. Didn't mean to have that going. All right. So let me undo that. We'll go back out here into my little world. It's my comfort zone. Here we are. We're still above the YBR right here, and we're starting to fail a little bit on the gold. We're above the YBR on the Russell. We don't have a trade there. We're below the YBR here, and we are below the YBR here now on the NQ as well. All right. So I didn't even notice that before when I was saying the same Q trade over here. We were above the YBR on that, where it came out of the overbought after hitting it right there. So we'll have to wait for the next one over there, looks like. All right, and here on the ES, we are now below the YBR, and it's not quite down here where I wanted it to be, but it's still working its way down, slowly working its way down. And well, we almost have a trade here on the S. If we got enough close on this on the S, then we could trade it. But it's not quite there. It's a continuation of that last thing that we had. Yeah, we had the trade from up here a few minutes ago, and we took that one. I think it was 39.75 is where we took it. And well, now we're just waiting. Just waiting. I don't see any questions coming in. So hopefully all of you guys have your stuff working again. It's a bit of a disruption this morning, but it's only about, I don't know, 20 minutes between the time that I sent them the email and the time they got it going. I don't know what the deal is, but it's working again. So Tim, who sent us a message in Telegram a minute ago, hopefully he's got all his going. And let me just look through the other Telegram channels here, see if anybody else hit me. Just him. All right. The Russell has moved up to the point where on a pullback, it'll probably give us an opportunity to look for a long trade. The ES has moved up to the point where on a down close, you could take another short trade. Again, you get into a little bit of chop here because they never made the full leg length down. This leg length up is getting to be about the size as the last one. So that's going to mess things up a little bit. All right. Mark's just crawling along today. We have, I think, Dwayne probably went over it already, but this week, the first week of the month is usually when we have the majority of the news. And so today we had all medium impact, and tomorrow Powell's starting out with a speech at 9:30 right at the open. Tomorrow Powell's going to be speaking. Then at 10 o'clock we have JOLTS, ISM manufacturing, both high impact. Wednesday we have ADP employment change, high impact pre-market. Thursday we have unemployment rate, average hourly earnings, non-farm payrolls, initial jobless claims, ISM services, and we usually have the unemployment rate. They moved it up. That's usually on Friday. And the non-farm payrolls is also usually on Friday. So they moved all the Friday stuff to Thursday this week. So it's going to be jam-packed on Thursday morning. Big stuff happening Thursday. And then, of course, Friday is the 4th of July. So we're still looking for that down close here on the ES, but I have run out of time. So let me say this about that. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There is no credit card required for the trial. Just click on that purple button. And click on the purple button. And I'm just going to bring it to this registration page. Just fill out the form. All right, down at the bottom, make sure you give us a TradingView login ID. Do that. We can get your indicators indicating on your charts for you. All right. All right. And that is going to be it. The down close here on the S was a trade. Nothing on the NQ, nothing on the Russell, and nothing on gold right now. All right, and with that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
I am.
Excellent. Let's
Okay,
head it out your way.
the recap of the morning session.
Today it took 4 minutes and one trade to get to $2,800 with 10 contracts on.
Great start to the week.
Yes, yes indeed.
And we hit that 20,000 round number on Logic 247.
Woo-hoo. Congratulations.
I waited 3 days to find two that I really felt confident about. So I put two out last night, and they both brought home the bacon. So
Excellent. Excellent.
That's a good
Great
thing.
way to hit 20K.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So I've got the charts, and I'm sure you got places to be and things to do.
Yep.
How's this bothering him?
Right. He's okay. He was eating again when I came back. He was eating this morning when that happened. I had to take the food away because they were trying to take his blood pressure and he wouldn't stop eating. So he's like a billy goat.
Well, that's a good sign when somebody has an appetite. You know,
Yeah.
When they lose their appetite, they don't want to drink, they don't want to eat. Yeah, that's not a good sign.
So he still got his appetite. During the break, I ran out to the marina and I went to the grocery store and I came back and he was eating again. He's eating his lunch. So
that's a good sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I guess I'll take it from here.
All right, bud.
All right, guys. We went through in a granular fashion the ES, the Dow, the Russell, the NQ. Now we're on crude. Vertical line, of course, separates today, Monday, from Friday. Look how flat crude's been for just days. Each one of those vertical lines separates a day. And it's still flat, but it did come down and hit the short target, and it filled the window that I drew this morning. Before the markets opened today, before the Wall Street opened, I drew windows on each market, and I posted them in the Telegram discussion group and the trial discussion group with a timestamp, so you can check those out. And this was the short window I drew this morning, and in one 30-minute candle that filled. What was it? It was $65 down to $64.90. Goal for the day. And then it did it again. And if we can't get through the BBC, probably gonna do it again. Okay, gold. Now, all the indices popped higher on the open. Gold popped lower. And this was the window of opportunity we drew on the live broadcast Friday. And it closed last night, the 30-minute opening candle. See, it ran up to the BBC, so we were green. And then when we hit this high from Friday, in fact, we didn't quite take it out, which is always a sign of weakness. So it sent it down, filled that window, and some buyers came in, bargain hunting, and drove us up. We did come back and partially fill the window one more time. Now that window was 32.74 down to 32.69, 5 points. 5 points there. It's $500 per contract traded. And then we almost filled it here, so we'll probably only get $400 in that move. So we get above the BBC, get a leg, get a retracement, and when blue and climbing holds, in other words, price doesn't manage to pull all the way back to the BBC, in this instance, that's very bullish. Send us right up to the long target. When the market finds resistance, it's going to go look for support. And in doing so, it filled the short window that I drew this morning before the Wall Street open. Support will send the market looking for resistance, which it initially got at the BBC. Then red and falling turned to blue and climbing, and we filled the long window I drew. We almost filled it all here. Now that was $32.99. up to 3,300. So it was $100 per contract traded. And then we filled it again, again. So now we're going into a pullback. We failed to take out these highs from Friday. Now, the way we've got the step line, blue and climbing, and then the BBC, wherever this pullback finds support, we're positioned to actually put in a new high on the session. But if we don't, then we've got the short window down here that I drew in this morning before the Wall Street Open, and then I also drew in this one. And this is the one I drew Friday. This was when I drew Friday. Silver. Okay, silver opened here, came down and filled the window we drew Friday. Actually, it filled this window. This was short windows. Filled this window, and then last night it filled this window. I mean, we filled that short window on Friday multiple times. Yeah. So then we came down. This is the weekly zone support. Set us way back up. But see how blue and climbing got directly above price? That will almost always become resistance because it's on its way to doing this, red and falling. Send us all the way back down to the zone. When price drops to a zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. When price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. So it took 1, 2, 3, 4 30-minute candles to break through, only to run into this resistance right here. Send us back down to the zone support, back to the BBC resistance, back to support at blue and climbing, and then resistance at the BBC. So if we consolidate sideways here and blue and climbing turns to red and falling, we will probably fill this window, come back to the zone, and then if the market gets really heavy, we could see this window close. I mean, if it gets bad, we could even see this one close again. Now, for those of you that weren't here at the open of this broadcast, the long window we drew Friday, that filled, and the short window that we drew Friday live on the broadcast filled. Oh, these are the ones I drew in the live training room when Mike was having internet problems. Filled once, filled twice. 62.12 down to 62.08, so that's 4 points twice. You only need 2 points to get your goal for the day. And the long window we drew Friday, that filled last night. This window I drew this morning hasn't been touched yet. Now we came part way down into this window. We almost made it to the bottom. What's the low on that? Come on. The low is 62.31 and a quarter. The bottom of the window is like 62.30, I guess. So enough to get your goal for the day. And it looks like we're about to attempt to trade through it again. We pull back to the BBC resistance, and so we traded through red and falling, and we're right at the top of the window. Now, if we were to continue down, keep in mind you've got a bullish cross right here. That's where the blue line gets above the green line. When you have a bullish cross that leads to an extended move, the first time price revisits that area, roughly 62.22, in this case will almost always be good support. If on the second or third attempt it gets through, then this short window here is still valid, and then here's the short CTA target. The Dow, Friday's window closed last night, And the short window closed Friday during the session. Last night, the first 30-minute candle on the Dow, we ran up and hit the long target. And then we consolidated sideways back to the BBC. We attempted higher and failed right at that high right there. It's market structure. So we get below the long target again, pop back up to the BBC, resistance, 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 resistance. So it's possible on the Dow there's going to be another short opportunity. You only need 20 points. Let's see what I got. 44,230 up to 44,250. So I need to bring that down a little if I can. Gotta get below that low. Okay. And if we overcome the BBC, long window right there. Let's move it a little bit higher. Yeah, that's better. So on the long side, it would be 345 up to 365. Is that 30 points? Okay. The Russell came right down to the top of the window. This is where we opened in the first 30 minutes. It took 2 candles to get to the long target. Pull back to the BBC, held. And then we put in a high here, where we took out this high by just a little bit. Always be suspicious of just a little bit. Then the top of the long target held as support for a few hours. And then we made a drop right at the top of the window. Now we're pulling back up to the BBC again. So the question becomes, does the pullback hold or not? In Q, the window we drew Friday, which filled multiple times, this was from the live training room Friday. Filled once, filled twice, filled 3 times. The short window filled once, twice. And then the long window filled again last night. And we consolidated at the zone. Dropped almost to the short target, missed it by just a little bit. But remember, you only need 5 points on the NQ to get your goal for the day. So markets are starting to look a little bit heavy. How does that look on the daily? What are we seeing there? Yeah, we're well off the high of the session. Okay. So where was I? The NQ? Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's anything additional. Remember, you got this bullish cross here, so if price comes down through the top of that long target, you got potential support right here. Okay. And this window is basically just an extension of this window from Friday, which filled nicely. Crude, yeah, I got nothing to draw there. Gold. Now this window, if I can not screw it up. No, I can't. I always do that. It's hard. Okay. All right, so 33.17 to 33.21. That's $400 per contract traded. A $1 move in gold is worth $100 per contract traded. A $1 move in crude is worth $1,000 per contract traded. A $1 move in silver is worth $5,000. So there's really nothing I want to change here. Silver, we already got a short window down here. And this is a little jagged. I don't want to mess with that. Okay. So there you have it. Now, if you missed the beginning of the broadcast, as always, 30 minutes to an hour after I sign off, you can go to youtube.com/CFRN, click on the Live tab, and today's broadcast, all 2 hours, or hour, by the time I'm done, it'll be 2 hours. The entire 2-hour broadcast will be available. The power of YouTube allows you to see how we've evolved over the years. You can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. Obviously, you're not going to watch them all, nor do you need to, but it's a great resource to have at your fingertips, and it lets you know we've been around a minute or two. youtube.com/CFRN. Okay, and that, by the way, is the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. But all you have to remember is youtube.com/CFRN. To become a member, it's so simple. Go to mytradingiq.com. Watch the videos, read the content, and when you're ready, send an email to support@cfrn.net and just tell us, I want to become a member. If you happen to be a veteran, then say, I'm a veteran and I'd like to become a member. This way, when Valerie replies to your email with all the information about what it means to become a member and a passport holder, she'll also include a link so you can click it and seal the deal. And if she sees that you're a veteran, she'll send you a link with a discounted price, because we want to thank you for your service. As a passport holder, you're going to get 2 hours of live interactive training every trading day. Now, as Michael is putting on and taking off trades live in real time with real money, he's explaining every trade he takes, every move he makes, and the reason why. Your job is to listen, learn, trade along in your demo account so you can qualify to go live, and ask every question that pops into your head. Once you've asked the same question 2-3 times, it sinks in, because you're going to always get the same answer. And our knowledge will become your knowledge. And that's a sign when you type in that question and hit send, and you realize, wait a minute, I already asked that question. I already know the answer. And then you hear Michael echo back to you the exact same answer he gave you the first time, the second time. You go, oh, okay. Things are starting to look clear and kind of simple. It is simple. It's rules-based trading. And there aren't that many rules, so some people it takes a couple weeks, some people it takes a little longer. Everybody learns at a different pace. Don't put pressure on yourself, okay? You're embarking on a career. Think about how many years a doctor has to go to school, or an attorney. But if you could just take 2 points a day out of the ES, and over time earn the right to trade 10 contracts with the profit you've earned in the market. You start with 1 contract, earn enough money to add a second contract, earn enough money to add a third contract. By the time you get to 10 contracts, just 2 points a day out of the ES, it's $1,000 a week. I'm sorry, $1,000 a day. It's $250,000 a year. Puts you in the top 3% of wage earners worldwide. Now, I wish I could promise you that just because you become a member, you're going to be 1 out of 10, because 9 out of 10 fail. I can't make you that promise, because no matter how much information we give you and no matter how many tools we give you, what you do with that, we have no control over. See, you have to bring discipline, self-control, and the ability to remember and follow the rules. Actually, the rules are written out for you on the website, so you can just put that up on one of your monitors and you don't have to remember as much. It's on the site, mytradingiq.com. Along with 2 hours of interactive training every trading day. You get private one-on-one mentoring at your request. The strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder are fluid across all markets, all time frames. Stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETFs, it doesn't matter. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. It's simply just how markets work. As a passport holder, you get the Logic 247 alerts around the clock. Although we've hit that 20,000 round number that I've been warning everybody about for months. So we'll have to see what we're going to do differently there. You get the concierge trade alerts the second they're published each evening. Typically it's 5 minutes before the open. Last night it was 10 minutes before the open. Every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, you get the weekly trading zones. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. Every Thursday afternoon, you'll get an invitation to attend the Members Only Workshop Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you're unable to attend live, I have good news. You're also going to get the golden key that opens all the private channels in Telegram. One of those channels is the weekly workshop, is the Members Only Workshop. So in that channel, there's hundreds and hundreds of weekly members only workshops. Do you need to watch them all? No. But Valerie usually puts a caption beneath it as to the main points we covered in each workshop. So you might scroll through there and say, I'd like to learn more about that. Or I want to know about this. And so then you can watch it. Bottom line is you have the golden key, so we have public channels for our trial members so they can talk to our traders and ask them, hey, what was your journey like? How are you doing now? How long did it take you to become profitable? We have no fear of you talking to our members because we take good care of our members. And if they're not profitable, then we do everything in our power to help them become profitable. We don't take your money and disappear in the middle of the night like far too many places. We stick around. CFRN since 2005. The live training room since 2008. So we're celebrating 20 years. I feel like somebody should give me a gold watch, but I guess me and Michael could buy each other a watch. Except I have a phone. Why do I need a watch? My favorite watch is my Rolex, which I bought in Ecuador from a street vendor for $10. Oh, and every time somebody goes, man, nice watch, I go, yeah, well, let me tell you the backstory. I bought it off a street vendor in Ecuador for $10. You know. All right. Everything a trader needs, all under one roof, one low price. You can keep Googling till your fingers bleed. trying to find some magical whatever. And if you look at enough places, you'll find somebody that promises you exactly what you want. Make $9,732.28 in your boxer shorts before you even eat breakfast. You're not going to fall for that again, are you? If you don't become a member with us, at least find some place that has a track record, that has a history, and that will actually put forth effort to do everything they can to see you succeed. So many places, once you pay them, they don't even respond to your email. So, anyway, we've done everything we can to make it as simple as we possibly can. So let's wrap it up with our good word for today. Are you preparing for God's blessing? Luke 5:4. Launch out into the deep and let down your nets for a catch. After Peter had fished all night and caught nothing, Jesus said, launch out into the deep and let down your nets for a catch. After explaining to Jesus that the fish just weren't biting, Peter said in Luke 5:5, nevertheless, at your word, I will let down the net. Notice an important detail here. When Jesus said, let down your nets, Peter replied, I will let down the net. Apparently, Jesus had a bigger catch in mind than Peter. In fact, that night they caught so many fish their net broke because they couldn't handle them. When you think small, you prepare accordingly. Scripture describes God as Him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think according to the power that works in us. Ephesians 3:20. As a child of God, you have within you the power to go beyond what you have already accomplished and do more than you ever dreamed possible. So what's the problem? It's this. You can have the right amount of power but lack preparation. To handle the pressures that accompany success, you must be prepared. Otherwise, success can be your undoing. God says He is prepared to open the windows of heaven and pour out blessings so great you won't have room enough to handle them. Malachi 3:10. The question is, are you preparing yourself for greater blessing or simply settling for the status quo? You say you want success on the job, so are you sharpening your skills, intensifying your work ethic, and developing new ways of doing things? Are you teachable and open to working with others? In other words, are you preparing yourself? You want what you want, but you gotta prepare. And it has to be in God's will and in God's time. And that's our good word for today. Now, somebody just asked a question. Did news come out? Which tells me something just happened in the markets. So let me go to my news feed and see if anything shows up there. No. All right, let's look at the chart one more time real quick. Oh, James says there was some bombing in Tehran. Okay, so the ES did come down and fill that window, and then some. And this candle right here is 1 minute old. So we came down and popped back up. Was that bombing from the U.S. or from Israel? IDF. Man, how come what don't they understand about a ceasefire? Pretty soon, Trump's just going to pull the rug out from under him. Now, we're going to always defend Israel and help Israel because it's biblical. The Bible says, he who protects Israel, I will protect them. We don't ever want to be out from under that covering. So the ES dropped a bit, but it popped right back. Dow dropped, fill that window. Now it's popped back up. Now that candle is only 2 minutes old. Russell. Oh, it almost filled the window. Oh, so close. NQ. It finally came down and hit the target. Crude still asleep at the wheel. Gold maybe finding support here, blue and climbing. If so, keep an eye on this guy up here. You're probably thinking about, well, what about all this space? Look over here. You got resistance right there. One, that's like a triple top. So, and silver didn't react. Now, as the news starts to come out and more people find out that Tehran just got bombed by whoever, it could create some more volatility in the markets for the afternoon. Good, bad, or indifferent. I don't know. I don't know. The IDF in this case could stand for the International Democratic Foundation, because the last thing in the world they want to see is peace in the Middle East. That war's been going on for hundreds of years, thousands of years. Well, they just call it 30 or 40 years now, but if you read your Bible, it's been going on a mighty long time. So they definitely don't want to see peace in the Mideast. They used to be the party of peace. Republicans were the warmongers. Let me tell you something. If you never saw Hillary's America, you're about to have an eye-opening experience that will change the way you see the world and the Democratic Party for the rest of your life. All those guys riding around on their horses with those white hoods, burning crosses, and hanging people from trees. How many of you know the Billie Holiday song, Strange Fruit? You know she got arrested for singing that song? The local police said, don't you sing that song anymore, because it was a carefully, the lyrics were carefully woven, so it didn't come right out and say it, but just go on YouTube and type in Strange Fruit, the one by Billie Holiday. Listen to the words. It's about all the people who got hung by the KKK, who, by the way, you probably didn't know this, were Democrats. They were pro-slavery. What? No way. Okay. Google it, fact check me, but watch Hillary's America. I'm telling you, it'll be the most eye-opening. And the guy, something Sousa, who created that movie, all based on fact. He ended up being imprisoned for some other charge than just making the movie. I'll look it up for you and tell you tomorrow. Now, you look it up yourself. You got a computer, you got Google, you got ChatGPT, right? Okay. All right. So I shall bore you no more. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.